back today with another GFX tutorial. Last week I showed you how to make a faux GFX using a green screen and iMovie, but this week we're going to make the real thing. All you'll need is Blender and Roblox Studio, no rigs required. So let's get into it. Here is a preview of the GFX we're going to make today. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do is load up Roblox Studio and click on Base Plate. So if you have a blank screen like me, first thing that you're going to do is go to View and click on Explorer and Toolbox. This opens those two sidebars at the side, makes your life a lot easier. Next you're going to go to Plugins, and if you already have it downloaded, click on Load Character Light. But if you don't, go to your toolbox, change the drop down menu to Plugins, type in Load Character, and there it'll be. So once you've got the plugin, you're just going to type in your username into this box. And then you're going to click R15. This will load you onto the base plate. To move, all you have to do is position your cursor and use WASD. Once you're at a good angle and able to see your character's face, it's time to change things up. So the first thing I'm going to do is go down to the drop down menu, click on my name, and then go into head and delete the face. Now this is how you get a no face, like in my intro. I'm going to show you how to put on any face that you want. So you're going to go back to the toolbox tab and go to models instead of plugins and type in whatever face you want. I'm using Super Happy Face as an example. Then you're just going to drag and drop one of those face models onto the base plate next to you somewhere. Then you're going to go to the drop down box and find the decal. Then just drag that onto your character's head. And now you can have whatever face you want. Once you are happy with how you look, go to the Explorer tab and right-click your name, then go down to Export Selection. This will export your Roblox avatar model so that we can put it into Blender later. Next thing you're going to do is load Blender. Now when you first load Blender, you might notice that there is a random square model in the middle of the plate. All you're going to do is just select that, press X on your keyboard and then delete. After you've deleted that, you're going to go to Blender Render and change it to Cycles Render. Make sure that you do this before you import your Roblox avatar. Next, we're going to go to File, Import, and then Wavefront in brackets .obj. Then you're going to go to where your model is and make sure that you import the OBJ file. In order to move, this time you press Shift and F, and then you can use WASD, or you can just zoom in and out on your touchpad if you have a laptop. At first, you might be a bit worried because your Roblox avatar is kind of looking like a Yeti, but all you do to sort that is go down to this drop-down box here and change it from solid to either texture or material. Now we're going to change the background colour, so go to the little planet icon and then click on colour and you can change the colour of the background. You can do whatever colour you like, but I'm going to do a green so that I can put it on a green screen in iMovie later. If you want to see how the background looks compared to your avatar, you can just go onto that little snowball icon again and click on Render. This will give you a little preview of the finished product. Now the next thing that we're going to do is click on this little weird ball. This ball is the lamp, and what I'm going to do is just position it high in the sky, kind of like where a sun would be in real life, and then I'm going to go to the light symbol in the right hand menu and I'm going to change it to sun. Then just drag it and change it around so that the ray hits your face. And now that our equipment is all set up, I'm going to show you how to animate. So to move a body part, right click it, and if you want to move multiple body parts at once, right click, hold shift, and then right click another body part, and then you'll be able to move them. Like in Roblox Studio, at the bottom there is a move, rotate and scale button, and you just use the little red, green and blue arrows to move everything along. Now when you move things, you'll notice that the joints don't stay stuck like in a real body, so if you want to rotate something, you'll have to rotate it and then move it by yourself back into place. But what I'm showing you now is just me putting my arm up. Once you've got it into a position you like, take notice of this little timeline in the bottom and make sure that the green line is right on frame 1. Then you're going to click on the little red recording button, then you're just going to move along the timeline as you move the parts of your body. Now, if you are a beginner at GFXs just like me, a good thing to start off with is to move your head accessory. So I have a load of flowers around my head, so what I'm going to do is make sure that there's a little line at frame 1, then I'm going to go to frame 10 and just move them at a 90-degree angle, then I'm going to go to frame 90, move them again, frame 30, move them again, and basically by the time we get to frame 40 it will look like the flowers are spinning around my head. Now I'm going to put this into time lapse as I animate the rest of the GFX. Now this This isn't stop motion, so don't feel like you have to do something on every single frame. Blender will sort out the gaps in between for you. All you're doing is just telling Blender, I want my character in this pose at this time, then in this pose at that time, and it will move it automatically for you. Now, before you render your GFX, always make sure to double check by just scrubbing along the timeline. If you notice, just like mine, the body parts are kind of coming away from each other and it doesn't look right at all, what you can do is go between those two frames and then just make sure that everything is in position as it would be. So what I'm going to do is just move this shoulder to forearm back into place, and then move the forearm and hand back into place as well. What this will do is it will create a nice little transition phase between me having my arm down and putting my arm up, and this will just help the animation look a lot smoother. Once you're done with your animation, take a look at this little box back here. This is the camera. If you don't have a camera on your screen, it's really easy to get one. Just press Shift and A and go down the menu until you see camera, and then one will be added for you. Then you're going to go to view in the bottom left hand corner and click on camera, and this will show you everything through the lens of your camera, which will produce the final render. So moving your camera is kind of like moving your character, except it's a little bit easier. So you're going to press Shift and F like we did before, and then use WASD to move. This will allow you to put the camera into different positions along the timeline, and what this will do is create different camera angles for your final product. Now, a fun little life hack, if you want to change the rotation of your camera, click on the actual camera box, go to the rotate button, and then just use this little sphere to move your camera at different angles. Once you are ready to render, go to the camera icon and change your resolution to 100%. Then scroll down to PNG and change it to AV JPEG. Of course, if you want to make a picture GFX, you can keep it as PNG, but today I'm making an animation. Then you're going to pull the quality right up to 100%. Then you're going to go to the World tab and make sure that this ambient occlusion box is ticked. I don't know what it does, but all of the other tutorials told me to do that, so I'm going to tell you guys to do it as well. Once all of these settings are in place, you're going to go back to that camera icon and scroll down to Output and click on this little tiny icon here. This will choose your save file destination. Make sure you do this or the computer won't know where to save the GFX. Oh, and one last thing, go back to the camera icon and change the end frame to 41. You want to do this because then it will only export the 40 frames you've used and not the 240 that are available. Then once that is finished, you're going to go to Render in the top right hand corner and click on Render Animation. Then just sit back and watch this render. Now if you notice that your project gets to 100% and then it suddenly changes to 0%, don't worry, it's just because Blender is rendering frame by frame. Of course, the less frames that you make your GFX, the quicker it will render. This took me about an hour to render fully. Anyway, now I'm going to take my finished GFX and import it into iMovie. Then I'm going to use it like a green screen and change the background. If you're unsure of how to do this, there are loads of other tutorials on YouTube, and I also show you how to do this in my Photo GFX tutorial. Of course, you don't have to do a green screen background like me. You can always change the background colour in Blender and then just keep it as a solid colour, but I want a little picture behind mine. And there we have our finished GFX. And of course, I want to give credit where credit is due. So this tutorial was inspired heavily by the methods used by Aurelina and Itzakila in their videos, and I've linked those in the description box below, so make sure to check those out. Anyway, that's all for now guys and gals. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.